Now continuing on page 86. So just to remember, to remind all of us, here Kyoba Rinpoche says, as for the practice or the part of the process of achieving awakening is both the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of profound insight or wisdom. And as for the accumulation of merit, we have to consider these three parts, these three elements, what is called the field, the intention, and the object. The field is who are we creating, doing these actions of virtue towards. So there it says, there's the field that is the four types of nobles, and there is the field which is all other sentient beings. Then he started talking about intention. And intention was where we stopped yesterday. So in terms of intention, in that section we looked at, in part because I think the translation that we have here, it's a little maybe hard to understand. But here, in terms of the intention, he says, this intention, and the intention hyphen, I say intention hyphen understanding, that realizes the primordially unborn emptiness of the three spheres. Remember, three spheres. Right? These are some technical terms that you should remember, so that each time we encounter, we don't have to repeat again and again. So the primordially unborn or birthless emptiness of the three spheres. And here is called the three spheres are the fields, the object, and the giver. And so this giving with this kind of intention and understanding is superior to the mere relative bodhicitta way of giving. Now, of course, the so-called mere bodhicitta way of giving is superior to the type of giving that is based on the intention, on an understanding of if I engage in giving, I will have a better rebirth. I will be reborn back as a human with a very good, conditions. I'll be born in the God realm. Or if I engage in giving, my community, my people will respect me. People will know about my good deeds. And so all these are varying levels, right, of intention understanding. And then finally, in the section that we finished yesterday, Kyoba says, now, even higher than, even more amazing than the giving that has with it the intention hyphen understanding of the primordially birthless nature of emptiness of these three spheres, is the giving that is done when you have the knowledge and the confidence, you can say, that you are Buddha. Then who you are giving to are Buddhas. And what you are giving, no matter what you're giving, this is the elixir The reason it's said is elixir is basically that there is this saying that ultimately what Buddhas eat, what nourishes Buddhas, are called elixir. And so, in other words, this is training in sacred outlook, training in pure vision. So this actually links back to something that we talked about in earlier teachings, where we discuss, or more like when I was discussing how to train with this method of relating to Guru. There I say, in the perfection vehicle or the characteristics vehicle, and they are synonyms, the problem is identified as the problem of ignorance with regards to that which is impure. We confusedly think is pure. That which is unsatisfactory, we think is going to satisfy us. That which is impermanent, we think is permanent. That which is not self, not worthy of being considered self, we confusedly take to be self. But in the secret mantra vehicle, the problem is identified as mundane perception, in which pure perception, pure vision, or sacred outlook is the counteracting antidote. And so here, this is what it's saying here. That when you understand that since the fields consist entirely of male and female deities, and the nature of the object, what is given, is wisdom nectar, then the state of mind is superior. Here it doesn't explicitly say, and you, the giver, is Buddha. So this sacred outlook isn't sacred outlook if it is not based on the intention understanding of the primordially birthless nature of these three spheres. Further on now, in this regard, there are three states of mind: best, middling, and least. The practitioner who is fixated on concreteness has not realized the empty natures of the field of the noble ones, or the field of beings, or the subject himself, or what is given. That is the least of these three states of mind, three intentions, understandings. The one with the middling state of mind, they see the fields, subject and object, in the manner of secret mantra. Now it says, the one with the best state of mind has realized from the bottom of their heart that the three fields, subject and object, are primordially unborn emptiness. That is, when emptiness arises as cause and result, or space like cause and result. Now you're like, wait, did it just contradict? It seems, right? But again, we have to remember that these texts, they were compiled. Nobody edited them. Nobody fixed them. And it's hard to know, where kind of errors have slipped in. But what's important, I think, to understand here is these two parts, empty of three, the emptiness of the three spheres, and sacred outlook, they are two sides of the same coin. Whichever you say is superior, they are two sides of the same coin. In a way, you could say the emptiness of the three spheres is the emptiness side of things, and the sacred outlook is the appearance side of things, which then directly relates to the way our mind is. Right now, the way our mind is empty, but yet knows. And that poetically is called clear light. The mind knows, has the capacity to know, or has this capacity of awareness, rikpa, to be able to know. So mind is empty and mind is aware. Right now, even in our confused state, it is already like that. So it's not a matter of, we have to make our mind empty and we have to make our mind clear. No, okay? Even in our confused state, the mind is empty and the mind has this power to know. But right now, the kind of knowing is obscured knowing. It's knowing that is tainted with confusions, tainted with the kleshas. And empty. Luckily, because that means the kleshas, the confusions, can be cleared, can be removed. This is what we normally call purified. But that doesn't translate into English in a sense that makes, in a way that makes sense, But it's Buddhist English, I think maybe Trent was one of the first people to point that out. Like purifying, right? To say, purifying, let's say we say, okay, purifying the clothes that I wore, right? It means cleaning the clothes. When we say purifying afflictive emotions, we're not cleaning afflictive emotions. Afflictive emotions cannot be cleaned. By definition, they're afflicted. We just remove them. So if we go back to the analogy of cleaning my clothes, purifying my clothes, I'm separating the dirt and the stench from what I clear. What I get rid of is the smell and the stains. So afflictive emotions are cleared, okay? Not purified, cannot be purified. And then this section, right? Regardless of whether, there has been some copying error or maybe Kyopa says exactly this, after saying what seems to be step. This is the least, this is the middle, this is highest. Then in summary, this is the least. In both cases, the least is agreed on, In the next one, it seems to be a flip. Now, don't get too caught up in that because we understand, the principle, right? We understand this bigger point. So we don't need to read these texts. It's different, if this text was written by, say, someone who is in the scholar mode, then they will be very clear. And if they have contradiction like this, they have absolutely made a choice that they're going to contradict in this way, and they can explain to you why. But these collection these teachings to the assembly, they are not meant to be scrutinized in this way. And so if we subject it into this way, then we're missing the flavor of this. Anyway, here, the most important line in this paragraph we just read is, that is, when emptiness arises as cause and result, or we can also call it space-like cause and result. You remember having heard this? Judy, yes? Space-like, especially. And this is important point. Emptiness arising as cause and result. When emptiness is realized, I think Nagarjuna said this, then that realization arises or appears to you. Arises meaning that. When you really, truly realize emptiness, not like using, logic and deduction and thinking through, not that kind of realization, but like, really direct realization. When emptiness is realized, that realization will appear, will now play out, will now clearly appearing as cause and effect. Now, with regard to pure object, now the third one, right, of those three elements, the field, the intention hyphen understanding, and the pure object. There are four ways of giving. As Jikten Sumgön's work, Desperate Aspiration, teaches, all giving, complete giving, great giving, and the immeasurable giving of the precious true Dharma and the like, may this perfection of immeasurable giving bring the intention of the Buddhas to perfection. Practice according to the four ways of giving taught like that. To accumulate merit like this is to be skilled in methods. And so here, a very cryptic reference. So the four ways of giving, or the four types of giving, in footnote 156, giving material goods, giving the true Dharma, giving protection or fearlessness, that's basically giving moral support, what we would call, and then giving love. So these are the four in terms of what you give. You should give material goods to both fields. You should give Dharma. How do you give Dharma to the noble ones? By practicing Dharma. Not like you lecture them, By practicing Dharma. You offer your Dharma practice to them and say, may you be pleased, So they say the best offering that you could give your teacher, if the teacher is behaving like a teacher, the best practice you can give them is to practice the Dharma. If the teacher is not behaving like a teacher waiting for something else for you to give them, then little troublesome there. Giving protection or fearlessness, giving moral support, Again, here, not literally you give moral support to the four noble ones, but there are times, that you give protection to the noble ones. Many stories like that, such as the story of when a splinter that is caused by a boulder exploding. This boulder, it said, was pushed off the top of a mountain by Devadatta to try to crush the Buddha to death. Then when this boulder came tumbling down, it said that Vajrapani used his Vajra and struck the boulder so that the boulder exploded so that it won't crash on the Buddha. But there were splinters from, so in that way, Vajrapani is offering protection. Then even like they said that some splinters of this exploded boulder came and cut the Buddha. But there were some that was blocked by Vajrapani's generals. And these are the different Jambalas. And that's why in the Jambala practice, offering water to Jambala, we are basically reenacting this. So then when the Jambalas protected the Buddha from harm by blocking with their own bodies the splinter that would otherwise cut the Buddha, then of course the Jambalas suffered cuts, and it was swollen, inflamed, and the Buddha asked for water to pour on to cool down this inflammation, this swelling, to let the swelling subside. So that's the origin stories of, and to give love, to give love. Now the next section is, so we've covered the accumulation of merit or the skill and methods. Now we're going to look at the profound insight, how to accumulate and what is it, all of that. As to what profound insight is, some maintain that it is intellectual realization of emptiness. Of course, he's going to disagree with this. Now, while that is of course the case, there is more to it. Yes, intellectual understanding of emptiness is helpful, is important. In fact, majority of us, we didn't grow up in a Buddhist culture. So we didn't just like start off practicing Buddhism. We came to Buddhism, most of us, because we found the intellectual side to be feeding us, to be what we need. That's impressive. Because you're all very smart, You can no longer just kind of accept simplistic explanations. So you're attracted to Dharma, and especially Dharma taught by teachers who is very skilled in translating concepts, ideas, new, exciting ideas into words and expressions and explanations that are, make sense, sophisticated, impressive. Then we think, oh, that is Dharma. Then we even think, oh, that must be what Dharma practice consists of. It consists of me feeling good, like, yes, this is real practice, None of that superstitious things. Now, while that is, of course, the case, there is more to it. There's more to it. You have to know distinctly, like the individual gills of a mushroom. Oh my gosh. Mushroom turn to the back, the individual gills. Sometimes the example given is like peacock feather, and you see every of those lines, and see it distinctly, all the colors and the pigments there. You have to know distinctly, like the individual gills of a mushroom, each and every detail that is necessary to accomplish skill and methods. So when we talk about wisdom, he says, we're talking about the wisdom that is necessary to give rise to skillful means, skillful methods. Skillful methods to help beings. Skillful methods to help beings mature. Skillful methods to help beings progress on the path. Skillful methods to help beings to become free from kleshas. He says, that is the kind of wisdom that we are talking about as well. If someone now thinks that profound insight is the ability to win scholarly debates, or to absorb and retain all of the Lamas' teachings and so forth, they are wrong, because those things won't really help. Whether you can defeat people using your power of reasoning and logic, or you are more of a devotional type and you have memorized everything the Lama has taught, in the end, they are not really that helpful. If you don't have, if you are not using the skills that are involved in becoming so skilled that you can debate others and win, you can retain all the Lama's teachings. It's not saying that those things by them, those things themselves are not good. It's saying unless the skills that you are building up through doing those things, unless they are channeled towards knowing distinctly each and every detail that is necessary to accomplish skill and methods, in other words, to accomplish the welfare of others, then you cannot call it profound insight, he says. This is actually a very interesting, kind of provocative point. If you talk to other Buddhists, like other educated Buddhists, especially educated in Tibetan Buddhism, they will say, well, that seems to be skillful means. It's not as if Kyopa Rinpoche doesn't know what, there's the division into skillful means and wisdom, but he's emphasizing the practical implications of wisdom. What is wisdom good for? For those pursuing the Shravaka path or the solitary realizer path, wisdom is good for getting you out of the mess. That is also a type of skillful methods. In order to get yourself out of this mess, you also need skillful methods. But particularly those who are aiming for complete and perfect Buddhas, the third type of awakening, then mastering skillful methods, knowing skillful methods that will not only help you get out of the mess, but can help others to get out of the mess. That is absolutely the kind of profound insight, the kind of wisdom that we need to have, we need to cultivate. Well then, what is profound insight? Profound insight is skill in methods that bring abiding to the non-abiding minds of yourself and other beings. Those methods that can help you settle. Those methods that you can use to help others settle their hearts, settle their minds, steady their minds, steady their hearts. That make them stable in abiding, that enhance their stability, and that prevents Maras from intervening and counteract any that do intervene, and so forth. So particularly, this is the kind of wisdom that you can use. And this is actually related to wisdom that arises from understanding impermanence, not self, unclean, unsatisfactory, and emptiness. But what it's saying is like, it is just mere intellectual if you have those understandings, right? And those understandings don't actually translate into helping your mind abide. And then, with the bodhisattva concern, you know how to take this and to help others to settle their hearts, to settle their mind. So this is the kind of wisdom that will settle your mind, settle your heart. Generally speaking, I think we all have a little bit of that wisdom. But that wisdom needs to be cultivated further. How, you say? Well, familiarize with this. And as you familiarize with this, as you see this more and more, deeper and deeper, and more stable, and more continuous, without interruptions, then spontaneously, almost like magically, the things that you say to others, even if you don't like intentionally say, oh, I think this person is having this issue, I'm going to go say the following words, but rather spontaneously what you say, has that effect of somebody who's listening going, oh wow, that's exactly what I need to hear right now. Sometimes we go, how do they know? No, they have not paid Alexa. Uh-oh. Alexa, stop. Sorry, I said her name. They have not paid that to spy on you, Don't be paranoid. But it's just, that's the wisdom. That's the wisdom mind, that's operating. Or an example of it. Yeah. Master Arya Nagarjuna had the skill in methods to instruct Master Nagabodhi according to the habits in his previous lives, thereby causing Nagabodhi's non-abiding mind. Here, non-abiding mind, I think this translation is too literal. Usually when we write it like this, non-abiding, it's supposed to be a good thing. The translation here should be, thereby causing Nagarjuna's, unstable mind, moving around mind, busy mind, to abide. Yeah. Elsewhere, when at least in English, in English, right? English and Dharma texts written in English, when we use non-abiding, we're talking about the mind that is freed. Here, we're not talking about that. Okay, we're talking about restless mind to abide. That is what is known as profound insight. So actually, profound insight and skillful methods are not two different things. It's the same, you could say, the same ability. One is speaking more of like the essence of it, and the other one is speaking more about the function of it. You get it? Yeah, the profound insight part is, what is it? That is what it is. And what is the function of that? The function of that is having this ability, this skill to really benefit beings. And even if you say you're the Shravaka path, solitary realizer path, then benefit yourself. That means this wisdom has to work, not just intellectual, Yeah? It has to work, Work to do what? Work to get rid of suffering. Not win debates. Not be praised as having memorized, having downloaded everything the Lama ever taught is now in my mind. But if it doesn't go in the direction of clearing suffering, then not much use. If Nagarjuna had not made Nagabodhi meditate on a tree on top of his head, but had instead told him, "My son, come here. I will explain the treatises to you. I shall explain the tantras to you. I shall give you practice instructions and teach you the profound points of the great Brahmin, Saraha." Saraha was Nagarjuna's teacher. Then Nagabodhi wouldn't have achieved an abiding mind, no matter how much else Nagarjuna taught him. So Nagabodhi was a disciple of Nagarjuna. And Nagarjuna could tell. And this is not just simply what Nagarjuna was saying. Nagarjuna has developed his wisdom to the point of actually being able to see. What Nagabodhi needs is, I need to tell him that he should place his focus on this tree on top of his head. Why? Because in a past lifetime, Nagabodhi was a woodcutter. And so, in other words, he had great interest in trees. That will help his mind come into focus very quickly. So Nagarjuna said to him, "You meditate on this tree that is growing from the top of your head." And in that way, settle. Help Nagabodhi's fluttering mind, busy mind to settle. Another example is the story of the solitary realizers, rishis, and monkeys who all live on the same mountain. The leader of the rishis did not tell his followers, "Practice my teaching." But instead, he said, "There is a monkey who might have wanted the practice of some great beings. Practice the meditation posture that it displays." So footnote, in this story, the monkey had previously watched solitary realizers who are said to live and wander anonymously in the forest. And so this monkey had seen how they practice. So then this rishis are ascetics. So the leader of the ascetics, instead of saying, practice what I tell you, or there is the 7-point Vairocana, which is typically how we talk about, Instead, the ascetic, the leader of the ascetics say, "There is a special monkey in this forest. Go look for him and see how he sits. Go sit like that." More effective. That was what is known as profound insight, and likewise, the monkey's display of the meditation practice was what is known as profound insight. Also, when Shariputra instructed the two Brahmin youths, Drenbu and Kyongwa, it was profound insight. And so here footnote says, those two boys with wrong views about karma, rebirth, and the state of arhatship was placed under Ananda's care instead of Shariputra. So here may be some mistaken identity. Ananda displays supernatural powers and inspires conviction in the Buddha's teachings in the boys. So there's a story like that. This is why Shariputra is the one with great discriminating insight. Yet another example is a story where Shariputra scraped the mud from an ox after he had saved it from drowning in the mud. The ox came to feel affection for the Blessed One, for the Noble One, and was taught 3 lines of the Dharma. Which is, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. all contaminated phenomena are suffering, all phenomena are selfless and empty. Based on this mental imprint, the ox attained arhatship in a later rebirth. At the time of its death, Shariputra also said to the ox, "Cultivate affection for me." Because he knows the ox and him has a connection. Knowing that would cause the ox then to take rebirth in the womb of the wife of a householder who also had faith and affection for Shariputra. So Shariputra helped the ox make a connection. And this, Gilbert says, this is what profound insight is. Profound insight or wisdom that you can take to the market, so to say, and buy food. So this is all, just quickly, the top of next line of next page. Moreover, knowing to attain excellent results through the creation of subtle causes, that is what's called profound insight. Subtle causes. Sometimes we think, we have to do something big to make some change that we want. But they say actually here, sometimes it's just a little bit of very subtle changes, adjustments. Now, without encouraging people to become paranoid, we also, in practical terms, we pay attention, especially around our Dharma sources, our teachers. We want to pay attention. Sometimes due to the auspicious interdependences. That things that they say, especially when it pertains to practice, may be things that you need. But if you're too wrapped up in your own questions and you're not listening, then you may miss these opportunities. There are opportunities because also, the gurus cannot exactly force you to take this or that course of action. Yeah, so it's something as, for example, of course there are famous examples, but again, not it should not be like paranoid and get too superstitious either. So you need to have common sense, but sometimes common sense turn into self-absorption as well. So where's the balance? I don't know. Like when Milarepa first met Marpa, when Milarepa wasn't even sure if this is the Marpa that he was looking for. He only knew that this great teacher lived in this place, and that he's a farmer, he has land. So he arrives there and he sees this person tilling the ground, doing farm work. So he approached Marpa. Marpa, of course, knew who this is. And so then Milarepa had come a long way, and Marpa sat down, stopped his work, sat down with Milarepa, and then he poured out a drink. In this case, it's beer, because that's like a safe drink in terms of not having germs. So Marpa poured beer and gave to Milarepa. Milarepa took it and he drank, one without break, gloop, 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 finished. Later, Marpa said, that was an auspicious interdependence. It's not like Milarepa goes, oh, this must be the Marpa, this must be the Marpa I'm looking for, this must be the teacher, and I'm going to, and if I drink it all and not stop, that means this. As far as we know, Milarepa didn't have that thought. But in a way, Milarepa was paying attention that this person gave this and drank. Marpa said that created an auspicious interdependence, and this means that this student will quickly absorb everything that is essential that I'm going to teach him, and he will carry my lineage. There were other of Marpa's students who learned a lot more stuff, a lot more dharmas, a lot more texts, a lot more commentaries from Marpa, more learned. But in terms of realization, in terms of digesting the essence of what Marpa had to teach, Milarepa is said to be the superior. So again, these things, like we don't want, again, common sense, we don't want to like relate to our Dharma sources, our teachers, in a way that is kind of ridiculous and kind of like a big show, a lot of fanfare and all of that. But also, for our own sakes, we want to maintain some kind of distance in a way, so that when occasions bring together, we are in a way paying attention, to what is said when it pertains to Dharma, that we can, depending also on our karma, actually click. It's like they say, the Lama opens the door, but how many times the Lama has opened the door and the student, the disciple, doesn't know how to enter. And sometimes, not entering after you have seen the door open is better than not even noticing that the door has been opened. So not entering after seeing the door has, some door has been opened, meaning some opportunity that our teachers are kind of giving us, to practice or to, and then we see that door open, and because of our circumstance, so it's not saying you cannot do that. Of course you have to do that. Jikten Sumgön says, you have to be sensible. So that's, that's allowed, and that's good, that, okay, I see that door is being opened, but right now, no. Okay, no, I cannot, And that's already much better than, left and right, our teachers, our gurus are opening doors for us. And sometimes even saying, well, you maybe come this, it's like, and just ignore. Because we're looking for our own doors. And we're insisting, I want to go into that door. And then you keep pounding on the door, trying to break the door down. Meanwhile, our guides are showing us other doors. And no. So until you meet those guides, that can tell you directly, that door is not going to work for you because in a previous lifetime, until you meet, guides who have the power to do that, then you have to wait for the chance, kind of seemingly chance interdependences, and pick up on those cues. Okay, we stop here today. Chanchu sem chorim poche ma ge ba nam ge gyu che Geba nyam pa me pa yang go ne gong du bel shun. Okay, bye bye everyone.